In this video, I'm going to be walking through the life cycle of a new construction deal. And I've broken it down into 5 stages that every project runs through: land, plans, approvals, building, and your exit. Now, as you can see here, I didn't put financing in here because if you can't grasp and understand these 5 stages, the financing part of this is irrelevant. So if you're new here, my name is Corey Fields Jr. I'm a builder, investor, and developer. In the past 24 months, my dad and I have built and sold over $5.5 million in residential real estate, and we've currently got $11 million in development. So let's get into the video. So step 1 is going to be acquiring land. Let's say you found a property, it looks promising. Well, the first thing you're going to do is your due diligence. You're going to check the zoning requirements and the setbacks for whatever you're looking to build. You're going to check county requirements, permits, fees, rules, all the rules that the county is going to require you to do in order to actually build what you want to build. Utility access, water, sewer, power, gas, the big 4. Missing any one of these, it's going to cost you some money. So that's something you want to figure out up front. Floodplains and topography. If your property sits in a floodplain, well, that deal's dead in the water. If a portion of it sits in the floodplain and the other part doesn't, well, you got to make sure that part that doesn't sit in the floodplain is actually buildable. And then topography. So with topography, you're looking at how the lot slopes. What do the contours look like on the lot? Is it going to be a basement lot, a slab? Is it going to be a crawl space? You need to know that before going into the deal, because that's going to affect your margins. That each of those foundations has a different cost. And then neighborhood comps. What are the comps within a mile of that property in the past year? That's going to allow you to actually pencil out the deal and figure out what you need to build to achieve that exit price or that exit number that you are looking to do. Now, these are just a few things that you want to check when looking at a property, but all of this is going to be your due diligence. So a soil test and a survey. What is a soil test? So a soil test is going to be required for septic approval. And when would you need septic? You would need septic when you don't have access to sewer. Now, what that soil test does is they go out there and they're actually going to do some bores on the property, and they're going to figure out whether or not that soil can percolate. Because in order to put a septic system on that property, that soil is going to have to be suitable for that system. That the soil is going to have to percolate and actually drain into the ground. So if the soil test fails, that deal is going to be dead in the water. Simple as that. Now, there are alternatives to soil that's not suitable for septic, where that would be a drip system, but I would never advise anyone to do a drip system on a spec build whatsoever when you're looking to build and sell. That's not something any buyer is going to want to deal with, and it's also very expensive. But anyway, coming over here, this is what a soil test or an example of a soil test that we got done recently looks like. So coming over here, we have all of the soils on the property, right? And how we're going to read this, we're going to come over here to the suitability codes, and we got GE1, GE2, GE3, GE4. Now, the only one that's good here, the only one we're looking for is GE1. So we're going to come back up here to the table, and we're going to look for that GE1. So over here, Appling, GE1, Ryan, GE1, and this Wedowee, GE1. Now with that, we're going to come back over here to the actual map, and we're going to look for all of those different soils. So we got Appling, Wedowee, Appling in here, so Ryan over here, and these are going to be the areas where we have suitable soil. So then we'll take all this information back to our team and figure out whether or not we can actually put a septic system on the property. Now, just because there is suitable soil on the property doesn't mean that you're going to be able to put a system on it. There are multiple things that go into whether or not you can put a system on a property, right? So those are going to be all the things that you want to look for. Now, next is a survey. Now, the reason I have soil test before survey, because there's no point in getting a survey before you get a soil test if there is no sewer, right? Because if the soil test fails, well, the deal's dead. And if you spent money on a survey before you got a soil test and the test fails, you just wasted a shit ton of money, right? So now, a survey. Survey is going to confirm your property lines, lot size. It's going to show any easements. It's going to define the buildable area. Your survey is your map. Without it, you're guessing where you can build. And so what that survey is going to look like, or here's an example of a survey. This is a basic survey. As you can see here, it's showing us what this lot looks like on paper. So we have all of our contour lines in here. We have our building setbacks. and it's showing us all the existing features on this property. So we have a retaining wall over here, existing residence. We got a fence running along here, and then the trees. One of the trees is going to be one of the really big things, because that's going to give you an idea on how much it's going to cost to actually clear a part of that lot out in order to build there. Because tree work is expensive, and that's something that has to be factored in when you're looking at these properties. But yeah, this is what a survey is. It's just going to show you what the lot looks like on paper. It's going to show any easements that are on the property that could affect you and for what you want to do when it comes to building. But yeah, that's essentially what a survey looks like generally. Now, this is all going to be your big picture check. Can you actually build here, and does it make sense? This is where profit either starts or dies. If you buy a bad property before doing any due diligence, you will soon find out later that you are going to end up losing a fair amount of money unless you can sell it and get everything you put into it back. So now moving on to step 2. You just picked up that lot, you've done your due diligence, everything looks good, you've got your survey. Now you're going to start putting together your plan. So there's going to be 2 general types of plans that you're going to need, and it's going to be a site plan and a set of building plans. Now, what is a site plan? A site plan is going to be a layout of the lot. It's going to show your setbacks, driveway, grading, utilities, drainage, all of that. And I'll show you guys what that looks like here in a minute. Now, who does the site plans? A civil engineer or a surveyor can do site plans. Now, architects can do site plans, but I wouldn't advise letting your architect do your site plan. Now, why this site plan matters? Because the city won't approve anything without this site plan. So what that site plan actually looks like, and here is an example of one right here. So in order to actually get this site plan made, you need this survey. So what this site plan is, essentially the engineer or the surveyor took this electronic CAD file, came over here, and then overlaid the site plan on top of it. So the survey is the foundational base of your entire set of plans. Everyone is going to be working off this site plan in this survey. So what this survey is going to entail is everything that is going to be done on the property when it comes to the outside. Now, landscaping isn't on here. This is just going to be everything that the county or city is going to want to see. So we got our rain garden in here. We got our driveway shown in here. It's got all of our water management. We got all the water from the roof is going down the downspouts, and then ran through a pipe down here, connected into the rain garden. It's going to show us where all of our silt fence needs to be ran. That's all of our erosion control measures and all of that. So this just gives you a general idea of what a site plan looks like. It's literally going to be the site plan. It's how you're going to go about setting up that site for construction. Now your set of building plans. What is it? It's going to be the house itself. It's going to be the floor plan, elevation, structure. Who does it? An architect, designer, or a draftsman. And why does it matter? Because it's going to be needed for permits, and it's going to define what the GC is going to build. And it's actually going to show the plans for your investment, what you're actually going to building, your house, or whatever it may be. And so what that looks like here, and here is an example of a set of plans. We have the front elevations right here, and then coming over here, the foundation plan. You got the main floor plan, electrical plan, ceiling framing plan, and the roof framing plan. And this is a simple, straightforward plans. Depending on the house, it might be much more lengthy than this, much more complex. But this is just a basic set of plans right here. And this is what you're going to need in order to then go and submit for permits. Now, without a good set of plans, you can't get approval. So generally speaking, no matter what, you're going to need a site plan and a set of building plans. Every city is going to be different. They might require more than a site plan, and more than just site plan and building plans. They might require a couple other things. But just generally speaking, what you're going to need, no matter what, is going to be that site plan and a set of building plans. Now, moving on to step 3. Permitting, how permitting works. So now that you've got your set of plans all drawn up, you're going to then go and submit those plans to the city or county, right? Multiple city departments are going to then go and scrutinize your plans. Each department has specific criteria to ensure compliance with local code and regulation, right? So you submit those plans, they're going to go through and look at them, and you're going to expect feedback. So departments are going to make notes and send those plans back to adjustments, right? So your team's going to then go and revise those plans based on the notes they made, and then they're going to resubmit those plans. And this cycle is going to repeat until every department stamps off approved on those plans. And here's a breakdown of the key departments involved in this reviewing process. So you got the building department. They're going to review structural integrity, material use, and overall compliance with building code. You got zoning and planning department. They're going to ensure your setbacks, land use, and density align with municipal zoning ordinances. And you got the fire department. They're going to check for proper access, fire suppression systems, and overall safety measures, especially for commercial or multifamily projects. Then you got the public works department. They're going to assess utilities, sewer, water, your drainage, stormwater management, and street access implications. Then health and environmental department, they're going to review your septic systems, erosion control plans, and other environmental impacts to ensure public health protections. Now, without all of these approvals, nothing moves. You can't start your project. So you need each and every one of these departments to approve on that set of plans in order to actually get started with construction and start building. Now, moving on to step 4 is construction execution. This is where your general contractor is going to come in. Or if you're a general contractor, this is going to be where you do what you do. You're going to construct the house. So the GC is going to coordinate with 25 plus different trades, manage their schedules, ensure quality, and take responsibility for things when they go wrong. This is why finding the right GC is everything. Your general contractor is going to be your business partner. He or she is quite literally building your investment, and your return on that investment is all going to come down to the speed and quality at which he or she then goes and builds that product at, right? So after that house is built, now you're going to move on to step 5 is going to be your exit. So the key team here is going to be your realtor. It's going to market and find buyers. The lender is going to facilitate buyer financing or your refinancing. And then the title company is going to handle legal closing, and ultimately the buyer is going to make it all happen. Now, your strategic focus here is going to be pricing right with comparable sales. Now, generally speaking, you want to have your exit plan figured out around step 1 or step 2, but for the life cycle of a deal's sake, this is step 5. It's going to be the exit. So the investor versus the builder role. The investor/operator is going to buy the land. He's going to find and secure the property. They're also going to secure the financing, arranging capital for the project. They're also going to manage the contracts and approvals. They're going to oversee legal and the permitting process. Now, this one right here is going to vary depending on your relationship with your GC. You know, sometimes the general contractor will handle all the whole permitting process. You know, it's just going to be all depend on that relationship that you have with your GC and who's going to handle what. But generally speaking, the investor is going to handle the permitting process and oversee all of this. Last but not least, the investor is going to ensure profitability. The investor sets the vision and manages the finances. Then the general contractor, the builder, they're going to manage subcontractors. They're going to hire and oversee all the trades. They're going to make sure that project is built on time and on budget. They also handle any site problems. They resolve the day-to-day construction issues. They are running that job site. And they're also going to ensure quality, delivering a home that meets all standards. So the main difference between the two here is that the investor sets the vision and pulls the strings, and the builder then goes and executes on that vision. And if you're a builder and an investor, well, you're going to be doing both. You're going to be setting the vision and pulling the strings and executing on that vision that you just thought up. So now putting it all together, acquiring the dirt, getting those plans drawn up, getting those permits approved, the GC actually then going and building the house, and then finally your exit after the house is built. You're either going to sell or refinance or whatever you want to do. But the common theme here is that there's a team that revolves around each and every one of these stages. And that is one of the most important parts here. This whole business has a ton of moving parts. You have to treat each phase like an exercise. And that exercise is going to revolve around the team that you build in order to execute on that phase. But that pretty much wraps up this video. If you found this video helpful, go ahead and subscribe, drop a like, and let me know what you guys think in the comments. And I will see you guys in the next one.